welcome to Copper Kettle Farms. We are going to do a quick property tour because I don't think we've ever shown you guys our land here. So we're going to show you a tour, and then we got tagged by Fermented Homestead to do a bucket list for 2020 on the homestead. So we're going to go through what our bucket list, top 3 bucket list items are for 2020. So let's give you guys the tour. I guess first we're on one corner of our property. You can kind of see this cool rock up here that Dad painted years ago, and it basically says, "The earth does not belong to us, we belong to the earth." It's an old Native American proverb that got a lot of attention when we first painted it because it was white paint, and now it's faded and has some English ivy growing all over it.
And if you haven't heard, you can see how close we are
to the road.
To a busy road, literally right in front of our house.
Yeah, it's very busy. So we're going to discuss a little bit of some of the other plans despite the top 3, but you guys will get an idea of what we're planning to do here. So let's show you at first. So welcome to the first corner of our homestead, which is by the large rock. You can see how close our house is to the road here. This is actually a Bradford pear that we are planning to tear down next year. It's not part of our bucket list challenge, it's just part of our to-do list.
If you look just real quick, right there.
Well, I figured we'd show that one.
I know, I just like pointing at it. Right there.
You're goofy.
That's a bay tree.
So this is the southeastern quadrant of our property. The goat pen starts up here, along with this tree line here is kind of the border of our property, but I apologize for all the traffic. We kind of share that with a neighbor. So we're going to do a quick tour around what we got going on, and we'll start with I guess the house here. This is where we store all of our firewood, so it's easy to get to when it snows. But we live in a small Cape Cod here in Gettysburg, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And one of my goals, and it's not for next year, is to tear down that front porch because our house faces south, and turn that into a greenhouse, the whole front area there. Again, because it faces south, so it gets some really good sunshine.
Trying to get the goat's attention.
So this is where the start of our one goat and chicken pen is. The goats will probably come up here and say hello. We have some really big rocks here in Gettysburg, which we kind of like. Donald doesn't like it as much as I do.
Nope, I don't.
We have a nice, what is it, Norwegian maple? No. Silver
maple.
I thought it was Norwegian silver or something.
Oh.
Where Dad kind of sits and watches over the animals sometimes, but this is our little goat house. You can kind of see where we usually film down there, the chickens and the goats. But let's continue down. When we first bought the property, we didn't have this deck at all. There was just a stairwell into the back door. The first 5 months we bought the property, a tree fell that used to be where the greenhouse is and tore that whole thing down. So we used the insurance money and had this whole thing built. We put this ramp in so that my dad can get in and out easily if he needs to without having to use stairs. What else you want to talk about?
Here's our source for hugelkultur.
Yeah, these are some of the pine trees we've started gathering that we feed the goats. And there's some more in there. There's some over here. You can kind of see some trees. We've got some on the other fence over here that we're going to throw in the hugelkultur. And here's the goats. This is Blue and Oreo. They do need water. And then that's Belle over there. And they're my babies. The back of the house here, we are thinking about putting a type of gutter system along the railing, so I can get my finger in here, to have fresh herbs and stuff easily accessible since the kitchen is right in the back door. The chickens like to dust underneath the deck here because there's a lot of dry soil there. This area here is where the septic is, so we just plant flowers around that. Dad built that raised bed there just to supplement an area for flowers. You can see Court in Dad's bedroom window right there. He's just watching over right now. And there's Sam. Sam and Dean on the other side of the tire there were misfit birds that were gifted to us because the owner couldn't keep them, so we tend to adopt all the misfit birds, and now they're probably some of my favorite birds that we've got. So you've seen a video, and we're going to do a more in-depth video of the chicken compost system we have going on here, but this is our main chicken area where we have Donald's and my chickens. Now the backyard here is kind of, my dad likes to do random placement of items. We're going to clean some of this up, but he likes his birds, so we just kind of let him do whatever. We used to have some herbal beds here, and then you can kind of see how this land strip here is different, a little raised up. We used to plant a lot of herbs there, like horehound and oregano. We're kind of moving all of that in a different direction. We're probably going to tear this area up a little bit, but again, we have that elderberry there, so I don't know. We'll see.
Grapes.
We have a grape arbor with grapes on it. These are, what's that one grape called? Concord grapes. This came with the property, so this whole section here was here when we moved in. So we just eat the grapes. If we come down towards the bottom edge of our property, this is actually what sold me on the property. Is having this stream. I like having a water source. We do get a lot of runoff from the road though, so we have to clean it up frequently. We get a lot of deer that come down to the water, which is nice. But again, you can see some of these big rocks that we've just got here. We brought the bamboo from our old house, and it spreads like crazy, but it is a nice barrier down here by the stream, which we like. We have a nice little fire pit, which we're actually going to raise up and make it a raised fire pit because of the water table here is so high, it just fills up with water so quickly. You can dig 6 inches down and hit water here. So this chicken coop here used to house our chickens before we moved them over to the other side, and then we had quail in there, and then they got, because I think that thing's so beat up, they got taken by something. So we're about to tear that whole thing down and plant a willow tree there and clean that up. So that's something we plan to do in 2020, but not part of that ultimate bucket list goal. For those that don't know, we do have some rabbits. We do butcher and raise our own rabbits regularly. So I would say we probably have 20 or 30 rabbits right now, maybe 20. And our goal is to increase that once we get better pens, because some of our pens are a little beat up. Hello, pretty girl. You're so pretty. So as we're continuing to walk through the property, our goal is to show you the property so you can kind of see what our goals are. And right now we've ended up on the catty corner, exact opposite corner of where we started, which is the northwestern part, which is right here where our neighbor's driveway is. But right here is the garden area.
Ours is the left side.
Yes, this was where you can see the hay here kind of creates the line of, this was our side of the garden, this was Dad's side of the garden. You can see his tractor. And he didn't really do a whole lot in the last couple years because once they redid this driveway here, a lot of water now pools here. Plus we don't have good soil anyway, it's a lot of clay. So Dad has since given up.
And if you kind of back up a little bit towards me, you can kind of see that it slopes down.
Yeah.
So it pulls where this dark area is.
Yeah.
And it's just mud.
Yeah. So Dad has decided to give it to us, which is where we're going to put the hugel culture area here. We're gonna have a row of traditional here for comparison, a row of double dig.
Double dig or broad fork. Probably double dig because we're probably not going to be able to afford a broad fork because they're like $200.
Right. We have the Ruth Stout section that will be on this half, and then where you see the cattle panels up there is our raised bed area. And we're going to walk up and show you where we're going to put our food forest area as well and talk about the fedge. So since we got tagged by Fermented Homestead to do the 2020 bucket list challenge, one of our big bucket list items is obviously the bees we've talked about before, which, where were we planning to put those? Over here somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere here.
We're gonna put bees because it's right next to the garden.
Which is here.
Which is here. So bucket list item number 1, we want bees. We are very, very passionate about getting bees here. Bucket list item 2, the 𝙎𝙖 culture bed, because that's going to take a lot of work. Plus, we are essentially doubling
The size.
our garden space.
And it's literally, 𝙎𝙖 culture is going to be from here all the way down to the tractor.
Yes.
1 row at least, maybe 2, depending on how much of those pine trees and the trees back here in this area.
In the area of the woods back there.
That we can pull out because we have permission from the neighbor behind us that we can pull any wood out.
Right. So bucket list item 2, we are doubling our garden space and making a 𝙎𝙖 culture bed. And that's a lot of work, but that's a huge goal for 2020. What was bucket list 3?
Bucket list 3 was the food forest or the veg, one of the two. No, the greenhouse.
Yes, we'll talk about the greenhouse later. But let's go ahead and take a look at the food forest so we can show you guys what we intend to do there.
And
so as we're strolling through the garden beds, we just wanted to show you, like, the kale's about dead, but the thyme. We got thyme here. We got thyme. You can see a little bit right there. We've got thyme here, thyme there, over there. We've got a lot of thyme growing.
I went thyme crazy.
We went thyme crazy this year, but it smells amazing. It's still doing great.
And we got trash.
Oh yeah.
We got apple tree.
Apple tree.
I think this was the Zestar.
I think that's the Zestar.
This was a salvia, I think. I think that was a scarlet salvia. This is for
Here, Nathan.
At Samson Farms. This is our okra, our tallest one that we had.
Yeah, we didn't harvest the last bits of it, so it's just kind of
it was just too much because we had 1, 2, 3, 4 stalks of it.
Yeah.
4 plants, and we didn't eat that many.
There's another apple tree here. Another salvia plant, which I'm looking forward to coming back next year. Some cosmos that fell over we got to clean up at some point.
Yeah.
This kale's about done, although there's still some kale growing.
Crystal's favorite.
My favorite
Tomatoes.
black cherry tomatoes. I had my black crims over here. So now we're entering in our food forest area, and also another chicken pen we have for, it's kind of our quarantine area.
Yeah.
So we were gifted this hen along with 2 others. One got 8, and Sam.
So, funny story. A friend of ours that gave us these hens, she was given them when she bought a chicken coop from this person. All that person fed them was cakes.
Cakes
Literally,
and pies.
Cakes and pies. That's all they fed them. So when Kim gave them to us, she was telling us when she first got them, they had a horrid smell to them.
Yeah, they were in bad shape. So we've kind of quarantined them for a while. They're almost to the point where I don't mind moving them over with our main chickens, but you can see she doesn't have a tail. They had like a bad pasty butt thing going on. It was pretty gross.
They're still getting better. The other one I call High Stepper because she steps
like a funny
that.
walk. Yeah. So moving back to the garden area, you can kind of see we're on this end of the garden now. There's the tractor. For those that are into tractors, that's a 1947 Model A tractor. We have a plum,
2 plums.
2 plum trees, This is where our meat chickens were. We're gonna move this at some point here soon so we can put meat chickens back in later. We have another peach tree in the corner here. Now this is the southwestern corner of our property. Along the road, you can see the house over there where we started. You can hear all this traffic, and it's a main road in Gettysburg. So the goal here is to kind of follow these two pecan trees right here and make a fedge all along here. And if Donald wants to demonstrate kind of where we're talking about.
Like,
yeah, just a wall of food.
tallest items,
Yeah,
and then they'll come out and be the mid-size, and they'll come out and be smaller.
yeah.
Like,
'Cause
we already have some started in between two pecans.
Yeah,
We have a lilac in that corner. That's the first corner that we can get.
yeah. We've started here. We're gonna work all the way up to that big rock that had the painting on it and just create a big layer. Another goal there for me, along this driveway, we want a layer of privacy fedge too. Just for extra food and neighbors. You can see our little sign I painted, Copper Kettle Farms. It's all beat up now.
Try to talk loud so you can hear me.
Yeah, the traffic's really bad today.
So here's where we kind of started the fedge on this side.
Yeah, we've got
Fennel.
fennel.
Is that fennel? Yeah.
I think so.
Fennel here, we got a Russian sage, and we have a lavender and lavender, and then right here, I don't know if you can see it,
Beautyberry.
beautyberry, and then right here is a tansy. Now everything here is a perennial, so we're trying to make it to where the fedge is a perennial and it's not annual.
Yes.
We just cannot pick it.
So one of the things that we're really focused on for this fedge is stuff that we don't have to maintain too much. We don't mind if it spreads towards the road. We don't have to mow. Our goal is to not have to mow
As much.
To provide more food by utilizing this land that we otherwise would not want to put crops here up against the road. Stuff like sunchokes, and because it's state flower, I want some black-eyed Susans, we want sunflowers, we could feed the chickens. The sunflowers are going to be annuals, but everything else is pretty much a perennial.
Well, I want to say, I can't remember if it's the sunchokes or if it's another type. There is a type of annual or perennial sunflower.
Yeah, it might be the sunchokes.
we get a lot of this information from Edible Acres.
Yeah, which we'll put a link below so you can take a look at them.
They're a really good channel.
Yeah. But the goal is to create a complete impenetrable area of food and perennial protection for, one, the noise, which you guys are already experiencing, the privacy, since we're right on the road, and then the goal is to utilize as much land on our 1.25 acres as possible so that we can sustain ourselves and potentially make a business out of it, and
By turning it into an education spot.
And of course, maybe selling herbs or something too. We'll see.
And grow like a small nursery. Like I think we were talking about Edible Acres. They grow, what was it? Like 400 trees in their driveway.
Yeah, just in the driveway.
Just sell, and they sell out like instantly.
Yeah, and that's a goal of ours too. They're more like a nursery. We'll probably be a small nursery as well, but the goal is to sustain ourselves first. Mm-hmm. So we do have a garage on the property. Where am I at? Here I am. Which stores a lot of our tools and things, but we also keep our peeps in there once we get meat chickens and new baby chickens for that. Let's go ahead and show you where bucket list item number 3 is. So right now we're kind of walking down the driveway. There's the house. Over here is where the garden was and the food forest we just talked about. But bucket list item number 3, that thing. I have been wanting a sturdy greenhouse for a while. This has worked as a temporary measure, but the roof's falling apart, the walls are gone on the ends. So we are replacing it with these. Now I still have to get more. We probably got what, like 20 here maybe? You don't have to count them right now. But we have free windows we've been getting, and our goal is to turn that into a greenhouse. I've seen people on Pinterest that have done it, but that's kind of our ultimate, that's our first goal in 2020, I think, is to get the greenhouse built.
This is why, if you were in the live, this is why I was saying the amount of windows determines on one, how big your greenhouse you want, but also how big your windows are.
Right.
Like, because these are all different sizes.
Yeah. And it's going to look very haphazard, but I kind of like it. It's very cottagey feeling,
Yeah.
which I love. So that's the first goal, is to get rid of that in 2020. Theoretically, as soon as this chicken coop's done, which should be in the next week or so.
Hopefully in the next week.
Then we're tearing that down and figuring out more windows and starting to figure out the plans for this. So bucket list item number 3 is the greenhouse. And that's probably the first one we're going to tackle because we need it by like March or April.
February.
We're not going to put stuff out there in February.
I'm going to put everything.
So let's show you the front of the house real quick. So the front of the house is kind of a big eyesore. Let me give you a little glimpse real quick. The front of our house, you can see we need a new roof. Probably new siding. The porch is a little bit in disarray. My ultimate goal would be to tear down this whole front porch and put a greenhouse that's all glass that the front door would actually open into. This traffic's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sorry about all the traffic, guys. But we have a lot of really bad soil up here that we want to, you can kind of see the outline, maybe Donald will demonstrate, of where the fedge is currently started. All the way up to the Bradford Perry where we started, which we're still going to tear that down, but we want to create the ultimate tree barrier first, where these trees are, and then layer by layer smaller plants till we get to the road.
And the reason we were doing it layer by layer smaller is because of the
We have power lines, so we can't do the big layer any further out because we don't want to have to mess with the power lines. So along the road we might still have to mow a little bit, but if I can get stuff growing here, and if you guys have suggestions of stuff we can kind of plant up to the road that we don't have to maintain and helps, yeah, with lots of comfrey we'll probably put here, then we would love to have your ideas. But that's kind of essentially our property. You can kind of see the John Deere down there where the garden is, behind the garage. You've got the goats and the chickens up here on the hill, and that's essentially it. Got Blue sleeping on Belle, who's looking at me, and then Oreo stuffing her fat face, laying in the feeder. Welcome to Copper Kettle Farms. So to summarize, we have our 3 bucket list items as we want bees. You want to say the second one? The hugelculture.
Hugelculture, but we're really all of the garden.
Yeah, it's basically the hugelculture plus we're doubling our garden space, which is massive. And then 3, I really, really, really need and want that greenhouse redone. So those are 3 bucket list items
For 2020.
For 2020 that Fermented Homestead tagged us in. We are going to tag 4 channels to do this because we always have a hard time figuring out who to tag, so we're just going to tag a bunch of people. I want to tag the Citystead because I'm always curious about folks who are homesteading in the city are going to do in 2020. I want to tag Yellow Rose Homestead because I spoke with them today and they may be putting an offer in on a property soon in Texas, which means that they're going to start a homestead in 2020, and I really want to see what their first goals are. We want to tag Davis Family Farms, Jennifer over there. I want to see what she's going to be doing in 2020. And then my homegirl over at Naturally NC, Deanna, and actually her partner as well. I would love to see what both of them are doing to, or planning what their bucket list items are for 2020. So thank you for watching Copper Kettle Farms. I'm Crystal.
And I'm Donald.
And we'll see you guys soon.